Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening everyone and thanks for joining us. First tonight, one of the key people behind the creation of the Commission of Inquiry into Child Sexual Abuse has today shared her experiences of working at the Ashley Youth Detention Centre. The former consultant described some of the practices as punitive and misogynistic, also claiming certain children received favourable treatment.
She blew the whistle on the culture at Ashley Youth Detention Centre, and today it was Alicia's turn to tell her story. The clinical practice consultant, who worked there for 6 months in 2019 and 2020, frank with commissioners about its culture.
Highly punitive in their approaches, very authoritative in the way that they would speak to them, often verbally abusive. Sometimes physically abusive.
Describing the place as a difficult work environment for all, critical of their weekly meetings and interactions.
I did not attend a single CST meeting in my time at the centre that was professional, organised.
And of how children were managed. Alicia telling commissioners certain children were favoured despite repeated incidents. When pressed as to why,
the staff may have been, I suppose, utilising them to help manage the behaviour of the smaller, more vulnerable children.
In one instance, she claims a worker blatantly refused to cooperate with an investigation.
I was able to see one of the files and say that there's one of them. And he essentially refused to give them to the investigators.
Also describing the place as misogynistic. She says one female detainee was referred to in derogatory terms because she was observed to be pulling up her clothing. After Alicia refused an order to educate her, she alleges
they were adamant that it needed to be a female, so the cook from the kitchen went over to the unit and removed her clothing.
The consultant also critical of the response by senior staff to the concern she raised.
Did you feel that she had responded in an appropriate way to the concerns that you brought to her attention?
No, not at all.
At times emotional, she spoke of how some staff shared her views but felt afraid to speak out in fear of retribution.
Very worried about raising concerns with me and quite concerned that they would get in trouble or face difficulties because of it.
The hearings will continue until Friday. John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
In developing news, police are at the scene of a serious car crash on the West Coast. Reporter McKenna Bailey has more. McKenna, are there any injuries?
Kim, at this stage, police have not as yet provided an update on the extent of injuries, except that it's a serious crash where a car has collided with a tree. It happened just before 3 o'clock this afternoon. A man was trapped inside the vehicle with emergency crews working to free him for at least 2 hours. The Murchison Highway has been closed to one lane, with SES crews on site assisting with traffic control. And Kim, anyone driving on that highway should expect delays.
Well, a long-awaited appeal into the controversial Mount Wellington cable car has begun. Proponents are hoping scaled-back plans can win over a tribunal, as treatment of an iconic view was today under the microscope.
An appeal to settle one of Hobart's longest-running uphill battles. The Tasmanian Civil and Administrative Tribunal today heard of watered-down plans for a cable car up Kununyi Mount Wellington, now featuring only 3 towers, an all-day cafe, boardwalks and viewing areas, 52 car parking spaces and the cable cars. After the original format was knocked back by the Hobart Council in July last year on 21 grounds, and opponents added 9 more. The company behind the venture will look to show they have satisfied those concerns. Today, ecologist Andrew North presented plans for mitigating the impact on wildlife. It's his belief an extensive tree planting regime could go some way to restoring the habitat destroyed by construction. There was also a tense exchange between representatives over the mountain's cultural significance. Joseph Geedle, working for the cable car company, was asked if the company's work downplayed the significance and importance of the iconic organ pipes. He replied there was no intention of downplaying it. A summit inspection set for today was cancelled due to poor weather conditions, an impediment the appellant says wouldn't have occurred if a cable car was in action. Its expected findings will be handed down before the end of the year. Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
A decision is nearing on controversial anti-protest laws, with the upper house set to debate them this week. A group of independents will decide its future, with a key member saying the bill in its current form can't be passed.
Tasmania's controversial anti-protest laws are set for a final stand.
And if they don't get through, it'd be hugely disappointing.
The upper house will consider the bill for the third reading this Wednesday. Since passing an earlier reading in June, it's drawn the ire of activists and unions alike.
Say it clear, protesting is needed here.
And there's still a few speed bumps ahead. Members are expected to take the rare move of recommitting the bill for further debate.
I've made it very clear to many people, including the Minister, that I can't support it in its current form.
Independent Ruth Forrest's Murchison electorate covers a key protest battleground. She'll be moving amendments to clarify the bill, as will others.
I certainly would not do anything that would limit that right to protest. This to me is about ensuring that workers can go to work safely.
Protecting workers is what the state government says these laws are all about. That claim will be tested by how willing they are to accept amendments that ensure they only do that. However, Labor and some independents have voiced their opposition to the bill, no matter what form it takes.
I've not yet seen any amendments that would address in full the concerns we have about the bill.
A decision in the balance, as a potential fourth rejection of the laws hangs over the government. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
The state government is spruiking Tasmania's nation-leading achievements as part of National Skills Week. It claims our investment in skills training is paying off, with more apprentices completing their studies compared to any other state.
Building a brighter future, Tasmania's high-vis army is leading the nation. Among them, third-year apprentice Thomas Steele.
I was a bit stuck after I finished school, wasn't really sure if I wanted to go to uni or get a trade. I was always interested in building, so I just went with that, and I've liked my decision so far, and yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
He's backing the state's strong vocational education program.
Tassie is 15% ahead of our national counterparts in terms of completion for electrical and communications, and 20% when it comes to building.
Not only are we seeing a boom in construction apprenticeships, but we're also doing a better job than the rest of the country completing those apprenticeships.
According to a new report, Tasmania has a completion rate of more than 70%, exceeding national figures which sit around half.
These are beautiful numbers and something that we should all be proud of.
While we also top the state ladder when it comes to female participation in the industry.
In the last 12 months, we've seen over 10% of new apprentices are female. Now that means we've still got a lot of work to do. We can still do better, but we're certainly on the right path.
Marking the start of National Skills Week, a number of events will be held around the state to support our construction industry, including the World Skills Regional Competition and TasTAFE Information Night.
We want to make sure that we keep up that strong record and that we're getting more apprentices into trades.
Driving generational investments in the state's skills and training sector. McKenna Bailey, 7 Tasmania News.
Firefighters in the north, the latest frontline workers to walk off the job. Members of the Launceston Fire Brigade took strike action in Civic Square this morning, calling for the state government to return to the table for wage negotiations.
It's very hard to make life decisions when you're not sure about your job's pay security and remuneration on it. So everyone here sort of feels as though we're being dragged along.
Our members haven't had a pay rise since December 2020. We want to work through the detail. We want to talk about what it is that'll keep the Tasmanian community safe.
Firefighters in Hobart also making a statement with a message on the windows of the Argyle Street station. Drivers are being urged to take extra care on our roads tonight, with snowfalls expected down to 300 metres in the west and south. Parts of the state were lashed by more wild weather this morning, with wind gusts of around 90 kilometres an hour recorded in Burnie before conditions eased in the afternoon. Damage was minimal though, with the SES responding to only half a dozen call-outs, mainly in the northwest. Meanwhile, a month-long operation to clean up storm damage around the Kentish community has officially wrapped up. Disaster Relief Australia spent 4,000 hours clearing fallen trees after severe storms hit the region. Volunteers for Operation Sheen helped 95 properties across Sheffield, saving the community around $240,000. Recovery efforts ended yesterday, but the organisation says it will continue to help storm victims over the next 12 months. Anti-salmon farming advocates are calling for a ban on salmon companies using beanbag rounds. The group says data obtained by Right to Information shows 25 seals have been killed by salmon companies in the 18 months to the end of June. The recent Legislative Council review into the industry called for review of seal management devices such as the beanbags. Community members have a new place to call home, with the West Tamar Mayor officially opening the Riverside Men's Shed this afternoon. More than $100,000 in funding has brought the facility to life, creating a place of conversation while promoting men's mental health.
We don't care if somebody just wants to come here and have a cup of coffee and just fiddle around. We're quite pleased for community to enjoy what we've got.
Following 18 months of construction, the shed is now open to the public.
Good evening. Former Test skipper Tim Paine could be back playing for Tasmania this summer after revelations he's been secretly training with our Sheffield Shield side. Although his first mission is returning to grade cricket, one of his Tigers teammates says Paine would be welcomed back with open arms. He rose as a saviour from the Sandpaper Tour, fell in a sexting scandal. Now the next cricket chapter in Tim Paine's story could be imminent as the 37-year-old eyes a return.
If he's available and he's keen to play, we'd obviously welcome him with open arms.
In Melbourne for the launch of the Big Bash draft, Riley Meredith confirmed Paine has been training with the squad.
I think that's the main thing for him, is just coming back and really enjoying being around the guys again and training and just enjoying his cricket, which is good to see.
Although Paine is uncontracted, that wouldn't stop him from being called up if he's fit and ready to play. But he intends to firstly return through Grade Cricket Club University.
He's an unbelievable player. He's obviously a really good captain.
Meredith hopes to snag other unbelievable players in the Big Bash draft. England's Liam Livingstone singled out on the wish list.
Livingstone gets all of this. It's a magnificent innings.
It would be good to get an all-rounder in the mix.
But with the Hurricanes landing pick number 8, they'll have to rely on other teams like the Melbourne Renegades passing him up.
It's going to help everyone if we get these marquee players in, and it's going to make the Big Bash way better.
12 platinum players make up the pointy end of the draft. Kieran Pollard, Andre Russell and Faf du Plessis among them. Teams make their picks on Sunday. And this is it for the Cripps TSL Player of the Year votes after the final round of the season. Brodie Palfreman tops the charts for Launceston in the win over North Hobart. Lauderdale's Bryce Walsh finishes on a high, taking the votes over Kingborough. And Brad Cox-Goodger's 8-goal effort made him the easy pick at KG5. So here's the final rundown. Lauderdale's Sam Siggins is the clear winner. He's 6 votes ahead of runner-up Palfreman. Launceston's Joby Harper finished 3rd, followed by Garland, Cole, Lovell, Cox-Goodger and Norton. Siggins came from the clouds to win the award, having failed to poll any votes until round 5. Sam Siggins is the toast of the league.
Yeah, I'm honoured to have won it.
Averaging 26 touches a game this season, Siggins was well clear in the votes, which snares him a Cripps toaster, sandwich press and $1,000. But news sweeter than a jam sandwich is the fact Lauderdale has snuck into the finals after toppling an undermanned Kingborough with their last roll of the dice.
It's not ideal to have to be in that situation, but yeah, I certainly feel like the boys are push and there's a lot of good energy pre-game and throughout the game.
Siggins has spent much of this season up forward, a move yielding 45 goals.
I've enjoyed going forward. I haven't played much footy there, so I'm still learning and trying to get better.
His Player of the Year accolade is a high point of a rollercoaster career, which includes a taste of the highest level when he was snapped up by the Crows in the 2012 draft.
All the boys have made me feel good at the club.
He left West Lakes in 2015, going public with his depression demons, before turning the State League on its head, sensationally defecting to Lauderdale's fiercest rival Clarence after falling out with the coach. But the change of colours was short-lived as Siggins later returned to his old club. Ironically, the two sides will face off with their seasons on the line in the elimination final.
In-house at the footy club, we certainly have a lot of belief that we can go all the way, and we feel like we're good enough to do that.
They'll find out for sure when they collide at the neutral venue of Twin Ovals in a fortnight. And the Northwest Coast, Jed Beaton's been back in action in the motocross GP, this time in France. He's sitting 14th out of 23 riders after the weekend's racing.
Good evening. Yes, do not adjust your sets. Everything is okay. It was fairly chilly around the state today, though, wasn't it? Hobart 11, Launceston 12, Burnie 10 and Devonport 13. Friendly Beaches and Flinders Island, our high with 16 today. Low Head and St Helens got to 13 degrees. King Island and Grove 11, Bushy Park and Strawn 10, Lyawini a high of just 3. It's all because of the front crossing today, bringing in a cold pool of air right over Tasmania. The frontal cloud band also affecting South Australia with lots of cold air ready to flow through there as well. Some cumulus cloud evident over eastern Australia, not much elsewhere else. Tomorrow a trough lies over New South Wales and Queensland as the front pushes away to the east. A broad area of high pressure over the mainland. Winds west to southwesterly at 20 to 30 knots, lighter over the southwest lakes. Swells up to 6 metres in western and southern waters. A strong wind warning has been issued for all Tasmanian coastal waters. Minor flood warnings posted for the Macquarie, Meander, North and South Esk rivers, and a road weather alert for snow-covered roads above 300 metres in the west, central and south, and black ice elsewhere. And we also have a bushwalkers alert for the western and central plateau districts. For Hobart tomorrow, a top of 10 degrees. Just 10 for Adventure Bay with a few showers. Showers or snow for Tarraleah, -2 to a top of 5. Launceston a high of 12, 11 the top for Devonport. Bridport partly cloudy and 12 degrees. Burnie a high of just 10 tomorrow with a possible shower. Showery for Strawn, 11 the top and 10 for Marrawar. St Helens tomorrow, 11 degrees and partly cloudy. Swansea the same and 12 the top for Whitemark. Wednesday, showers over the west, far south and central areas. Mainly fine on Thursday, a possible shower in the west and on King Island. And on Friday, fine apart from a light shower over the west and far south. Mostly sunny in Perth, a shower or two in Adelaide and Melbourne, rain forecast for Sydney and a late shower forecast for Brisbane. And around the state at the moment, it's mostly cloudy, and I do have an excuse. All my regular suits are in at the dry cleaners. This is all I could find. And by the way, Kim, welcome back to you. Boy, have you been missed around here. We're so overjoyed to have you all returning.
So sincere, Merv. Can't believe it. What is with that suit? Well, before we leave you tonight, just to let you know, the Murchison Highway has been reopened after that serious crash that we told you about earlier. But please, if you are out and about tonight, take care. That is all we have time for. Have a good night. See you tomorrow.